Shalom, shalom. This is Ambassadors of Christ. We have Ishayar with me today. Glad to have you, as always.
Shalom, shalom.
And
Shalom.
myself, Yedai Gabar. I will say this, today is going to be a class upon calendars. I want y'all to be all ears and all attention to what we're about to bring out. And hopefully y'all learn much from what we're about to bring out to our people to help them understand that the times are changing, and this has been going on for many millennia, many years. They've been working on calendars, making changes to calendars. But even before calendars came on the scene, Most High gave us ornaments in the heavens to tell time, right? We're going to go through all of that. You have something to bring out, Lord, before we dive in deep?
Let's go.
All right. So let's start. Give me Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. Right? Because we have to start from the beginning to get an understanding of what and when, as a time frame, these ornaments were created. Go ahead.
Genesis 1:14. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night. And let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years.
And years. So from the beginning, the Most High created ornaments in the heavens for us to be able to tell time, right? Keep going. Verse 15.
And let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth, and it was so.
And it was so. Because in Genesis chapter 1, it said, let there be light. So there was, at that particular time, it was ambient light that was created. The light that that when in darkness, our irises absorb the light that's ambient to be able to see in the dark. That was the light that was created. But keep going, in the fourth day, and the Most High created, go ahead.
And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also.
He made the stars also. So you have to imagine a time where we didn't have no lampposts in the street. We didn't have lights as we do in major cities. We had only the sun, the moon, and the stars to not only guide us, but to be able to see in the dark, in darkest times, right? Keep going.
And God set them in the firmament of heaven, to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night.
To rule over the day and over the night. That means there was those lights commanded their respective time frames to be able to tell us, and the animals, like anybody that went to Haiti or Jamaica or Dominican Republic, when you live with your grandparents and so on and so forth, to be able to wake up on time. Back then, we didn't have no alarm clock. We had the rooster. And he knew what time it was. He was like, get up. Time to get up, man. He did his job. He knew what time it was.
God.
Right? Keep going.
And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And the Most High saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day.
The evening and the morning was the fourth day. And it said clearly, the evening and the morning was the fourth day. So the evening precedes the next day, right? And that allows us to tell, Most High in that inference allows us to understand time and how time flows, right? You got something to bring out, Lord?
I wanted, like, it was amazing how the Most High, set up this whole creation for us. That shows that it's for us to understand that this is all made for us to
Yeah,
give
to
us
be
understanding and to be able to tell time.
good and to be in conjunction with time, because there are certain vegetables and fruits that don't grow in the daytime. They grow at night. They call them nightshade fruits, nightshade vegetables.
Time.
And when you understand that, by conjunction, what fruits and vegetables to eat at what time. Because nowadays we have a supermarket, because we have all these fruits and vegetables coming from different parts of the earth. We have a confusion of when and where these fruits grow. We just go to the supermarket and just pick up fruit and vegetables, but we don't understand that if the Most High created a light for the day and a light for the night, that means that there's a separation not only in the time frame of when certain foods are grown, but also where they're grown.
Time. Like right now we could get all types of fruits and vegetables at different times of the year, all times of the years when they only grow at a certain time naturally.
Like strawberries, like those fruits, you can find them all year. But the way that it's not the right time to buy strawberries is the price. In the summer, it's basically a given that you're going to find it at a good price. But in the winter, so-called December, you're going to pay a premium because it's not supposed to grow at that time. And you're going to go to the supermarket and buy strawberries. It's like, So we are being technically misaligned with what we're supposed to eat at what time of the year, right? And we go ahead.
I was agreeing with you.
Good. So we're gonna see how throughout time, in Rome, Greece, and to Roman rule, like all these calendars were basically used for political reasons, to change the date and times, and even in the book of Daniel it speaks on that, right? Can you give me Genesis 25 and 27? Because we're going to read how to be any hunter in his at his peak becomes very cunning. But to be cunning, you have to be patient, right? Go ahead, read what you got.
Genesis 25, verse 27.
Mm-hmm.
And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field.
A cunning hunter, right? Keep going. A man of what?
A man of the field.
A man of the field. That means that man, to be cunning, you have to be patient. Like you look at a fox, right? A fox is a cunning animal. Very smart, very slick. You know what I'm saying? He knows how to use the environment to his advantage, right? Keep going.
And Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents.
See, a plain man, that means plain meaning easygoing, doesn't ask for much, but was studious, shall we say, right? But now, when we look at Esau and being a cunning hunter, being cunning means you are you use subterfuge, you use traps, you use at times guile and ruse, shall we say, to catch your prey, right? Can you get me Psalms chapter 10, verse 1? Because the enemy's devices are many, and time is one of them. Because whatever prey you seek to catch, if you're patient enough, you could catch it. Even the so-called Chinese say, if you sit by the river long enough, you will see your enemies float by. Talking about patience to be able to wait. Go ahead.
Psalm chapter 10, verse 1. Why standest thou afar off, O Lord?
Mm-hmm.
Why hidest thou thyself in times of trouble? The wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices they have imagined. In the devices that they have imagined.
That they have imagined, the devices that they have imagined. So-called white man in the beginning, right? Everybody followed the lunar calendar. Everybody, without exception. But the issue came, and they called in Greece, or under the Roman rule, shall we say, they called it the festival calendar, right? And it's called that because they followed their own festive beliefs of different so-called gods that they worshipped, right? And the beginning of months was the same way as the Most High showed us. They began their months with the so-called new moon, right? But the new moon for them, as we know, lasts 3 days, right? There's even scholars that went against each other. One of these scholars was called Pritchett, and the other one was called Merritt. Pruitt was a believer of the so-called lunar calendar or festive calendar, right? And he believed that it was as accurate as it could be, right? And he believed that we should follow the lunar calendar, just like we followed with the Most High. Can you get me Exodus 12 and 2?
Exodus chapter 12, verse 2.
Mm-hmm.
This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you.
First month of the year. That means that from so-called, keep going with that verse.
Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel,
Mm-hmm.
saying, in the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers,
Mm-hmm.
a lamb for an house.
Mm-hmm.
And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb.
So that month is the month of Abib, right? The Passover, right? At that particular time. And during that time, it was the first month. So from that point, we're supposed to count the months according to the new moon. But in Rome, their festivities, just like us, they started with the lunar calendar. But as time went on, they changed the lunar calendar into a fixed calendar. Like I said, for political reasons, for economic reasons, they would suppress certain days and even intercalated or added certain days, right? To change, just like it says in Daniel. Can you get Daniel chapter 7, verse 24? They would add and remove certain days. And Pritchett and Merritt, they had, to this day, they have they have books upon on these two scholars. One was older than the other. The latter, Merritt, was older than Pritchett, and they could not agree, right? Because one wanted a fixed calendar, a fixed set of days, right? The other one wanted to use the lunar calendar for festive holidays. And the fact that they would Rome and the Greeks would remove or add certain days did not impact as a whole the lunar calendar. But Pritchett was not down with it because to him it was unbalanced, or it wasn't shall we say, as accurate as it could be. And as we know, the so-called white man, every time he's given something, he has to push it to a point where it becomes unlawful to follow. So for the festive calendar, the way it worked, it was 29 to 30 days, right? From the new moon. So the new moon to new moon, just like in the Most High gave us, it was 29 to 30 days, right? But the years, every year that passed was named after the chief magistrate that was in the office at that particular time. So certain years were named after the chief magistrate. Other years were named after whoever magistrate was in office at that time. And the festivals, or their so-called holy days that were lunar, was named after so-called dead deities, which we know as so-called Athena, so-called Dionysus, so-called Apollo, so-called Artemis, so on and so forth, right? All the way down to so-called Heracles, right? And they would basically sacrifice to these statues at the beginning of the month, which is wicked in the sight of the Lord, right? But go ahead. Daniel 7.
And also, just to say this, that when the Most High created our calendar, it was very, it was just on sight. It was based on sight. But what they wanted to do was create something where it was just fixed amount, like you said.
Yeah, fixed.
Because we would just go out there and just look at the signs in heaven and see what time it is, what year it is, what month it is. But it was like they wanted to construct something that would be fixed all the time, the same thing. When the Most High, deals with this world, this universe, and it changes like the seasons.
And he deals with us in a different manner, because can you imagine like a new moon that only lasts to them one day? Then that means that Daniel wouldn't have been able to make it to the new moon when Saul was trying to kill him. He wouldn't have been able to. David, Daniel, David. He wouldn't have been able to. You're right, Lord. David, he wouldn't have been able to make it to the new moon if it was one day. And why not have three? Why go against what the Most High showed us? It's showing us that the new moon lasts. And you could see it for your own eyes. Like on a new moon, you could see it coming just by the shape and the crescent. When you see a sliver of light left on the right-hand side of the moon, basically the new moon is on its way in. Right? And so by that saying, there's gonna come a time we won't have any cell phones. You might not even have a watch. you'll have to know time based on the ornaments of heaven, right? Go ahead, read Daniel, Bokasha.
Con. Daniel chapter 7, verse 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and
Mm-hmm.
shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given unto his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time.
The dividing of times. If you look at like any person right now, Bokasha, in the calendar, have you ever put a one in the chat? If you ever looked at a calendar and what type of birthdays, holidays, or what's going on in economic calendar, uh, what's going on in a basic festive calendar, or what's going on in the governmental calendar, what's going on? You has anyone seen in either of these three or one of these three the calendar of what's going on in the United States just by looking at the calendar any month? Put a one in the chat. I'd like to know, because we're gonna go into something else just in a few minutes, right? Because if you look at the month of February, it's so-called Black History Month. But if you look at the list of all the days and what's going on in so-called Black History Month, you'll be surprised what things are there that people celebrate besides Black History Month. Yeah, the holidays, like the so-called, what's going on? What holidays are in the calendars? Has anybody seen that? Or economic calendar? Because if you look at, if anybody has a Fidelity account or a trading account, you have access to the economic calendar. And every year it changes. Then the so-called white man put more effort in the economic calendar than, and the sports calendar and all the other calendars than what holy day is correct according to scripture. A lot of these so-called white people, right? But many of the political decisions, right, back then were decided throughout on the new moon. They were decided by so-called chief magistrates, and those chief magistrates were called archon and ephors. In Sparta, it's called ephors. These are chief magistrates. So basically, these men would make sure that the king would do his job. And sometimes it's just like, let's say, I don't know, Trump would try to do something. The chief magistrates would make sure that he would not only keep the law, but follow certain rules and regulations that they had that are in place at that particular time, right? Also, they had to keep a calendar consensus, meaning that during the time of the lunar calendar, they had to agree on what days, what was happening when and how, right? And that consensus had to be done at a governmental level. So the chief magistrate, the king, and they had to agree on the calendar, what was going on, when, and basically, if that consensus was not agreed upon, there would be issues, because political power was held by the people in the government. So if you could control the time, you could control what people do during that time and what's going on during that time. And a proof of that is during the events of Lance Armstrong, when he got caught cheating, they made sure that he got his pardon during the Super Bowl. So while he's in trouble with USPS for wire fraud, and basically people are lambasting him, right? They made sure to take away all the focus off of Lance Armstrong, the cyclist, and be sure to pass his pardon to get forgiveness while the Super Bowl was going on. And that was when the New York Giants, I believe, they went to the Super Bowl, and I believe they won. I'm not sure. But they made sure that all he was doing for him to get away with what he was doing, he got away with it. So we could see at times when government policies are passed at certain times of the night, 3 a.m., I believe you could go into that, Ishayar. Ambassador Ishayar.
God, I know that, yeah, they do have certain times, 3 o'clock in the morning is when they, pass these laws. You wake up the next morning, you don't even realize what just happened. Yeah, it's like called the witching hours, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And as always, I mean, the design of calendars was not only intellectual, it was based on science, or it involved arithmetic, and you had to have knowledge of astronomy. And in scripture, our people, the tribe of Issachar, had an understanding of the stars. Can you bring that out, Lord? I believe First Chronicles chapter 12, verse 32. Yeah, chapter 12, verse 32.
God. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. First Chronicles chapter 12, verse 32. And of the children of Issachar, which were men that had understanding of the times.
Understanding of what?
Understanding of the times.
Go ahead.
To know that, to know what Israel ought to do. The heads of them were 200, and all their brethren were at their command.
See that? So they had an understanding of the times, meaning to be able to tell time, right? They had pans, wide pans like this, that would reflect the stars in those pans for them to be able to calculate time, to tell time, and when, certain things should happen and how it should happen and when, which is a beautiful thing, which shows that our people had gifts even before Rome and Greece and the so-called white man came in and think that to change the times, right? Because even in the law, right, the Most High told us anybody that goes into the field and grabs fruit or corn or whatever to eat, right, you could grab it and eat it right then and there, but you cannot put it in your bag. It states that if you grab fruit and vegetables and eat right then and there, as a farmer, don't worry about it if he takes. Most High gonna give you the increase of what was taken. So in that particular sense, we understand that the Most High, when it feels that we have less time during so-called winter solstice, so in the summer, that time is regained, because at these times right now, the sun goes down around 5:30 around here, right? Around 5:36. But then in the summer, Salah, the sun goes down around 8. So it's a difference of what, 2-3 hours? So what we lose in the winter solstice, we regain in the summer. So that's what Pritchett was trying to portray, to follow the lunar calendar. Now, mind you, they were following their own dead statues and deities, but the lunar calendar is more befitting, because even in the book of Psalms, chapter 4 is a prayer for the night, and chapter 5 is a prayer for the daytime. So even in congruence with the book of Psalms, we see that time is the night before the day and not vice versa. And there's no such thing as a very fixed calendar. We approximate, because if tomorrow all computers shut down, so-called Y2K bug, all disaster hit, we're going to go back to the times where, we look at the moon and the stars, right? You got something to say, Lord? I don't want to, usurp all the time.
Nah, you speaking facts. Like the calendar that they came up with a lot. It was also our people that they in the Sanhedrin.
Mm.
They
Bring that
came
out,
with
Lord. Bring that out, Lord.
this precise calendar because it's certain, like you said, certain rulership and stuff like that they wanted to be able to know or create a system where they could know when the feast days and everything is coming up, and they had all that calculated very precise mathematically, but it still went off because, like I said, the actual luminaries are very varied. They vary a lot from year to year, from month to month. The moon
And,
moves a lot.
and keep in mind, like at one point, they had the Gregorian calendar, right? Which was a precursor to the Julian calendar, and there was fixed 12 months with 365 days in a year, right? But they added an extra day every year. But when you look at calendars in the 1700s, it did not start with so-called January. It started in March, which is more accurate to what we live, the environment that we live in real time, because the year should not start in the winter, it should start in the summer. Even in the Spanish, what's the word for spring? Isn't it primavera?
Yep. Prima means beginning.
Prima, and vera means green, I believe.
Yeah.
So green. So prima means, what does it mean again, Salah?
Beginning, like
Beginning, beginning
prime
of
is
greens,
like the beginning.
beginning of greens, beginning of the start. But the enemy
Just
will
like
have
the
us
word
believe.
spring too.
Good.
Just like the word spring forth, or like when you spring into action, that means you're beginning.
You're
Just like a
beginning.
year springs forth in the spring. That's what I call spring.
And even on the branches, you see the budding of flowers, and different insects come about, and they start to pollinate and so on and so forth, right? But they even got people messed up. And the reason why I wanted to do a calendar class is because we start, a lot of us, and listen to the prevailing winds or the trends that be going on. And in a few months, we're gonna have new year, new me, but it's not the new year. And all these things are to boost the economy, like month of November, at the end of the month. If it wasn't for so-called Thanksgiving, you could basically predict how the economy would go down. Nobody would buy food. Nobody would buy turkeys. Nobody would go spend on so-called Black Friday, and then so-called Cyber Monday. And then now they even have small business November 30th. If that's not economic gain, I don't know what is.
They just keep coming with more stuff.
More stuff all the time.
Now they got Cyber Monday.
And if it's not showing the decline of the economy, it's just, if you're blind to seeing that, the decline, and you have to put up different days and add different times and trying to get you to do things you're not even supposed to do. Right? Because in Persian Empire, they also at one point had 12 months and 365 days, but they had no leap years. They would just flow with basically with time, right? Now, can you get me Romans chapter 13, verse 11?
Romans chapter 13.
Verse 11.
So you were going to say something?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Romans 13, verse 11. And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than when we believed.
Come. The salvation is close. Like, this place is about to go down. It's going to come to a point where the enemy is going to have to double up on certain days to be able to keep this economy going. Meanwhile, I don't know about y'all, but I can't buy more than 2 boxes of eggs at the supermarket. And you check the price of milk. Price of milk, man, it went up. I don't drink milk personally. Milk from a cow I don't drink. But throughout the years, the price of milk has gone up. And why am I saying that? It's because the economy is going up, and the price of certain necessities for your house, eggs, milk, butter, that's going up. That's going up. Meanwhile, we have boats outside of the U.S. that can't come in, supposedly because there's a shortage. But at the same time, we have memberships for food to come out to your house. You know, HelloFresh. You know, get it delivered. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, what's going on here? But they have you believe that this country is great. It's amazing. But come on now. Come on now. Way back when I was a young man, my mother used to take me to the supermarket to buy toothpaste. So toothpaste. And there was a limit on toothpaste. You couldn't buy more than like 3 or 6 at a time. But I didn't register, like, why are they putting a limit on toothpaste? It makes no sense. But now we got a limit on eggs. We got a limit on certain things you can't buy more than. Yo, go ahead.
Remember during the pandemic, there was a limit on toilet paper. Limit on paper, period.
And it's we all seen how savage people was with toilet paper. People were savages. They're like hitting people. They're like, give me that, give me this. It's like,
and the time is coming again.
Time is coming again. And the Joker, he looked better than Batman right now. He's trying to make sense. Joker is looking crazy, but he said he looking more. As time passed by, the Joker is looking more and more sane, which is bizarre in itself. You know? Can you get me Romans 12:2? Because we gotta change my mindset. We gotta not be dependent so much on these technologies that we have, our cell phones. We need to be more in tune with the elements, be more in tune with the moon and the stars and nature. And to know what, like, I would like everybody in the chat, put one in the chat if you agree with me, right? I would like everybody in the chat to know what to eat at what time of the year. Let's start there. I know not all of us can get pots and plants and seeds and all that, but we all go to the supermarket and buy fruit. Why not save the seeds? We all go in different places. Why not look at the sky for a minute and say, man, what time is it? Let me tell time based on the position of the sun. Let me not look at my cell phone. Let me just try to tell time. You go out on your front porch or on your balcony at night, you look at the moon. Yo, how many days from now is the new moon? Right? And if the new moon just passed, how many days till the full moon? Let me ask this question. How many days from the new moon to the full moon? How many days is that? How many days is that? I would like an answer. But good job. How many days from the new moon to the full moon? Mr. Dahlia, nope. 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 Because if you think 29 or 30, that's a full cycle. I said from the new moon when it's empty to the full moon.
Yeah, talking about the new moon to full moon.
To the full moon. How many days is that? Right? Can you, in the meantime, can you get me Ecclesiasticus 43 and 9? We're gonna hold Romans 12 and 2.
God.
I would rather you pop your head out the window than go to Google.
Ecclesiasticus 42 and 9?
43 and 9.
43.
We got one answer. Anybody else want to stab at it? Go ahead, Lord. 43 and 9.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 43, verse 9. The beauty of heaven, the glory of the stars, an ornament, giving light in the highest places of the Lord.
Now, you know what? Start at verse 6. Start at verse 6. So,
God.
Go ahead.
Ecclesiastes
43 and 6.
So, verse 6. Sure keeping is good wherein. I'm reading it wrong.
You have it?
Technical difficulties. One second.
Yeah, that's basically a showing of the Lord, man. Where's your book, man?
43 verse 6. He made the moon also to serve in her season, for a declaration of times.
A declaration of times. Go ahead. Salah.
And a sign of the world.
And a sign of the world. Keep going.
From the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection.
A light that decreaseth in her perfection. That means that when it's full, it's perfect. In its fullness, at its highest point, at its zenith. as it decreaseth, it is about to complete the other half of its cycle. So, yeah, Sister Dahlia, you're right, because nobody else answered, but I would say partly right, because the new moon lasts 3 days, right? And the full moon, so technically the full moon also would last approximately 3 days. So it would be between 13. So from the day of the new moon, you calculate 13 to 16 days for the new moon, and again another 13 to 16 days for the complete cycle for it to return to the new moon, which would be a month, right? And as it stated in the verse that Brother Ambassador Ishayar read, it's an ornament in the heavens. That means that nobody could miss it. Nobody could say, "Oh, I ain't seen the moon. I ain't seen it." It's up there. It's higher than any other, shall we say, device that the enemy could put up in the sky. Any device that they could project, and it's been there for eons. So it's a trusted ornament in heaven for the armies above, as the scriptures say. There's something to say, Lord?
Nah.
Okay. Let's go back to Romans 12 and 2.
Romans 12 verse 2. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind.
By the renewing of your mind. Because every new moon is a new month. And in that new month, right, we're supposed to pray, be in prayer, celebration of the new moon. And in doing so, we could see what we want and request what we want to transpire during the new moon for the month to come. And at the halfway point, during the full moon, we could make assessment of how our plan is going, what we want to happen, and to be able to gauge if we're on track on our so-called, what the so-called enemy call a deadline, right? Right. So we know basically that the Most High put those things in heaven for us, but we forget, and we tend to be, shall we say, lackadaisical. I don't know if I'm saying it right, in being observant. So by looking at the moon, we will be more in tune with the elements and more in tune with time, not to be complacent, but to complete the task at hand, right? Let me see. Can you give me? Go ahead.
Like Jacob, a plain man, like you read earlier.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. There's a man walking on the moon. I don't know about that. Anything that the white man says is always suspect. It's always suspect. It's always. I don't basically trust them when it comes to many things. Right?
Somebody's moonwalking.
I trust Michael Jackson moonwalking more than them walking on the moon. Can you give me Ephesians 5 and 16? You know what I'm saying?
Ephesians chapter 5, verse 16.
Yeah.
Redeeming the time because the days are evil.
The days are evil. Redeeming the time because what?
Because the days are evil.
So we ourselves, we're in the midst of all types of machinations and devices by the enemy. And we all read that the enemy is patient. They lay traps for us, man. They lay traps for us. They lay um in wait, lurking in darkness for us to fall into their trap. And then they will look at you both face and say, "Hey, it ain't me, man. He decided to go against the Lord. He decided to celebrate Christmas. He decided to celebrate Thanksgiving. They the ones that decided to celebrate New Year's and go to the gym and work out when you had all year to do so. But you could even work that at your house. But you'd rather pay $25 than. I'm not saying it's not good to go to the gym now. Don't I'm not saying that. But don't go on their time. That's what I'm saying. Go on your time. Or go do work out at home. And at this point, the gyms now, they wild, man. Like, yo, people doing all types of things, and you watching me and stop looking at me, and you're being a pervert, all that, an essay and all that. Man, like the gyms now are a praying ground for people to blame you for all types of things, man. That's why Jacob was a plain man, and I get it. Jacob was plain man. He stayed at home. He's like, I'm gonna chill at my crib, man. I'm not gonna deal with all what's going on in the world. Meanwhile, Esau was a man of the field. He understood how to lay traps, to lay in wait. That man waited for hours, and we saw that in the scripture, which is why he came back empty-handed one day. He could have said after maybe 2 or 3 hours or 6 hours would have been like, all right, you know what? We ain't getting nowhere. I'm gonna get back home. But he came back home empty-handed. That means that man, he lay in wait, man. He lay patiently, ain't caught nothing. He came back home. Jacob was a hustler, man. Said, hey, let me trade this bowl of soup for your birthright. And that the rest is history, God. But the white man will say, we stole that birthright. Wait a minute. So-called white man laid in wait in the forest, in the field, didn't catch nothing. But Jacob, the plain man, he lay in wait for his brother. And Esau couldn't get anything. So he saw an opportunity and he took it. You can't blame him. You can't blame him. So the same thing Esau was doing, he didn't catch anything. Our forefather Jacob, he saw an opportunity, he took it. God. Which is a beautiful thing, Can you read that verse again? Ephesians 5:16.
Redeeming the time, because the days are evil.
Redeeming the time, because the days are evil. I mean, and give me Matthew 24, I believe in 24 and 12, I believe. I might be wrong. Yeah, 24 and 12.
Matthew 24, verse 12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold.
Now, when you look at the calendars that we spoke about before, we see that why is it during the winter season, the enemy wants us to come together and carve up a turkey, come together for Christmas, do the same thing, so on and so forth. You would think that it would be for righteous reasons, but it's not, because we're not doing things according to what the Most High demands of us. We're doing things according to what they want and what tradition has been pushed upon us. And that boosts their economy. I mean, just for Christmas, right? So-called Christmas, we have people that set up decorations, buy gifts, buy so-called Christmas lights. We're not even talking about just places where it snows. We're talking about everywhere. You got whole neighborhoods. They have competitions who have the best decorations at their house. And they're spending all this money, right? And meanwhile, you live as a Black man or Hispanic man of Negro descent. You live in those areas. You don't decorate your house. They look at you like, yo, you're the odd man out. Why are you not decorating your house? Why are you not putting decorations and doing all this stuff? Yo, why are you an odd man out? Why? Nah, we don't like you. What's your problem? Next thing you know, you're the enemy of so-called progress. You're not following the tradition of men. And next thing you know, they give your kids a hard time. Oh, you don't celebrate Christmas. He don't celebrate this and that. But we understand that we don't celebrate that. But now we as a people, we celebrate Hanukkah or the Feast of Lights, which is the righteous holiday. And this year is gonna fall on the 25th of so-called December. So when you look at that, a lot of people are gonna look at us like, wait a minute, what's going on? Right? What's happening? So this year is going to be a beautiful year for the Feast of Dedication of and Hanukkah. But there's certain people they won't understand. But it's going to be the greatest opportunity for us to teach them that we're not supposed to celebrate what so-called Christmas, but so-called Hanukkah. Got something to bring out, Lord?
Right. I mean, the more people stray away from the Most High's commandments, that's the iniquity abounding. And that's when love shall wax cold.
Love. Now, like, we're in an era where not only the times are changing, and like things are being added to the calendar that don't even need to be in the calendar. Transformers and Autobot and Predacons and all types of machinations with the Alphabet Crew, and they're adding, they're adding these days on the calendar. And if you're not part of that, then you are the enemy. But what does that have to do with me? And you asking me to use pronouns that I have no business using. And you're forcing speech. And you see, and people, like a lot of our people are oblivious to what's going on. They just want to ride the wave and be content with what they got going on, not understanding that people are suffering. Like children are being reassigned and all of those things. But you're just flowing with time, right? Oh, it's on the calendar. Let's do it. We have whole parades that last during certain months. People doing all types of madness. But because it's on the calendar, we should do it. Like we have to open our eyes to what's going on and stop thinking that it's okay because they're allowed to live. Oh, you want to do what you want to do against the Lord? That's on you. But don't ask me to follow your time frame or what you're doing in wickedness. And it all started even before we was born. They was messing around with the calendars in ancient times, in antiquity. They was telling people to celebrate certain days, certain deities that was not theirs, which is why a lot of our people in the New Testament had to go and hide in. Even in the Maccabees, they had to go in the mountains They had to get circumcision by hiding. People was getting killed. And we are about to get into, seems like we're about to get into those times again.
God.
Give me Romans chapter 15, verse 4, Lord.
Romans 15, verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
Might have hope. What was written for our learning. Now, don't get me wrong. We do research. We look at different time frames, different things that happen to history. But it has to be filtered through the scriptures, right? And if we don't, and we don't look at and discern right from wrong according to scripture, then what are we doing? We just going through life, basically dead, just the walking dead. And we could see the walking dead right now because people have smartphones, and now we even have Apple Intelligence. Because apparently, like my brother Ambassador Ishayar said, people are smart, but they're not using their smartphone. Now we get Apple Intelligence, so people are gonna get even dumber. People are gonna get dumber, Lord. I mean, I've never seen. I'm sorry to say, I've seen some commercials from Apple, but these are the worst. They are the worst of the worst. Like this dude texting, he says Xu Jing in front of a Chinese girl, a Chinese woman, and he uses Apple Intelligence to allow himself to be who he wants to be. Basically, you could see the racist undertone. Like, yeah, I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say, but then Apple Intelligence is gonna clean my vocabulary up. This is where we at, man, and this is the fruit of Esau, the wickedness that he brings about. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, I have an iPhone 2. I'm not gonna lie, I have an iPhone 2. But I mean,
if we reach for research,
gain knowledge. But as we've spoken about before, like, look at your calendars, look at what's going on. If you have an understanding of what's going on in the enemy camp and what they're doing, it's half the battle. Basically, G.I. Joe. Not knowing is half the battle. Right? You got something to bring out, Lord?
I mean, like you said, the wicked puts up their own holidays, their own celebration, their own times to try to lead Israel astray. To go away from following the Most High's laws.
And they entice our people well, man. Like, there's a reason. Can you get me Jeremiah 10? There's a reason why they be pushing so-called Christmas during these times. I mean, they even start after so-called Halloween and all Saints, so-called All Saints Day. They start early, man. They start early.
God.
You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Jeremiah 10.
Start at verse 1.
Jeremiah 10, verse 1. Hear ye the word of the Lord. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. For the heathen are dismayed at them.
The heathen are dismayed at them. Go ahead.
For the customs of the people are vain.
The customs of the people are vain. They're empty. They have no value. They're hollow. Go ahead.
For one cutteth a tree out of the forest the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and gold. They
Mm-hmm.
fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not.
That it move not. You hear that? So, my people, like, even though people are getting gifts, okay, let me ask this in a different way. Would you rather have a gift in sincerity given at another time of the year than so-called Christmas, or a gift given because people are just going through the flow, just going through the flow and going through what other people are telling you to celebrate? Which one would you rather? Number one or number two? I want y'all to tell me, man. Like, would you rather get a gift when you don't expect it, or would you rather get a gift because people are just doing it because other people are doing it? Because just like Yahushua told us, he told us the same thing in Matthew 10. He told us, go not into the way of the Gentiles. And in Jeremiah told us the same thing. Read that again.
Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen.
No, not
Be
the
not
way. Learn not the way of the heathen. I mean, their way is not our way. And every time we do their way, they got us caught up, man. They got us caught up with all types of Christmas movies. They even have a Wii channel, man. They have a whole month dedicated to just Christmas carols and movies and all that garbage. It's like, why are you pushing this so hard? And it's a double-edged sword to them. It's basically a Roman sword to them. Not only do they make money by having us pay at Con Edison, buy gifts at Best Buy, buy gifts at Hobby Lobby, and going to Target and all these stores, but they make us break the commandments. Go out there, break the commandments, man. And then next thing you know, the Most High is angry. And then he's on some, man, despising our feast, man. He's on that type of time in Amos, man. He's like, yo, I despise your feast days. And he dislikes what we're doing. And next thing you know, he's gonna get us later. Right? But he warned us. Yo, these people are gonna come at you with different ways. They came around Nehemiah, right? We see that in Jeremiah, and we see that again every year. How many times we have to repeat the same thing until we get the message, and we just say, "I'm done." What do you think, Lord? How many more years do you think we got until we reach as many people as we can? I have no idea, man. But one day at a time, that's all we could do. Because if we look at the calendar and the lunar calendar, right, the procedure for a new month was an act not only for the fulfillment of the law of the Most High Yahweh, but it was also for a festive day, and it was sanctified, which means set apart, and in itself it was a religious act to bring everybody together to check up on each other. And it's also, the new moon is also, shall we say, what they call that? A wellness check on each other. It's a wellness check. If it wasn't for the new moon, brothers wouldn't see each other until the next high holy day. And they're few and far between. So the new moon not only is to give honor to the Most High and by Yahushua, but also a wellness check. What's going on with you? What you got going on? You need help? Yo, you looking for something else? What you looking for? Oh, I got a new contact. Bomb, bomb, bomb. Connecting dots. And we know that because in scripture, a lot of people met each other through wells, which is basically filled with water. And the moon has power over water. It creates the ebbs and the flows of water. High tide, low tide, all of that. So when we feeling funky around the new moon and we meet each other, we calm each other in that time. Right?
Okay.
But I'm not gonna hold y'all. This is what I have for today. Hopefully, most high willing, I see y'all next so-called Wednesday, or hopefully most high willing, or my brother Ishayar gonna help me figure out a new class to give to teach y'all. You know what I'm saying? Because we got more classes for y'all, more things that we want to bring out, and most high gonna give us the increase as we plant the knowledge to the best of our ability, and for y'all to give us more flowers and butterflies, even though sometimes we make mistakes like killing plants by, so we want y'all to get seeds rather than full-on plants, wanda. And we want y'all to feel good, man. We want y'all to use the elements, to use the sun, the moon, to, feel nice. You can look at your watch, but first look at the sun and the moon as your reference points to help y'all in all things, right? Anything to say before we end it, Lord?
Like the brother said, we'll bring back, more deeper understandings, like, part 2, part 3, going more into into this subject.
Okay, come. Yeah, we could do that.
Okay.
So with that, I thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to listen to me and my brother Ishayar, Ambassador Ishayar, ramble on a little bit, and don't be too angry at us. Hopefully we help y'all understand how the so-called white man, he been laying traps for us for years. They have this down pat, but if we go back to the basics, go back to what the Most High gave us as not only points of reference, but weapons of war, as we are his weapons of war, then we can't fail. You just can't, right? So y'all have a blessed Shabbat, good end of your night, and blessings and health to all the people that are watching and, in the chat and later on watching this video later on. Babakasha. Go ahead, Lord. If you have something to say, you could go ahead.
Shalom. May you have a blessed night, and Most High be with you and keep you.
Shalom.
Shalom.